Wow, we're only a few games into round one of the NBA playoffs, and there's already been quite a few storylines and some big events that have happened so far. From injuries to talking about rule changes to stomping on people's lungs, it's been pretty eventful these past few days. And although we're not even halfway through the first round, there are some interesting takeaways that I have gotten so far throughout these playoffs. What's up, guys? It's your boy Word of Mouth, and today I will be talking about some major takeaways that I have gotten and some of the general public have gotten so far in the first round of these playoffs. Now, I think the first and the biggest one we should address is injuries. So far in these playoffs, we've seen Ja Morant get injured, Giannis get injured, and a couple other players take some hard and scary falls due to a player taking a charge. Now, this has stirred up quite some controversy on Twitter. This has led to a multitude of people calling for the charge to be banned as a whole, and this is something that's just really dumb. Now listen, I get it, I understand the concern. We've seen Ja Morant, Giannis, and other players take hard falls as the result of a player trying to take a charge, but this is basketball, and on top of that, banning the charge would only give more power to the offense in an already offense favored league. That banning the charge would be very horrendous. Defense in the NBA is already stricken enough with all the rules in favor of the offense, and banning the charge would only help that even more. On top of that, it's really no reason to ban the charge. Listen, it's a close call most of the time, and most of the time it goes to the block anyway. And a decent amount of the athletes who get injured due to charges, which isn't even a lie, it's really just an overreaction, they saw the person taking the charge and sliding in front of them, and they still opted to dunk on them and make a big play. Now, I'm not saying there is some danger that comes with the charge, of course. There is a chance for a freak fall like we saw with Giannis or Ja. And yes, people can get injured, but it's a part of the game. It's a part of basketball, and there haven't been enough injuries in the past years or really any major events due to a charge that can convince me or should have convinced anybody in the NBA to ban it as a whole. The next thing is, I underestimated the Kings. Well, I wouldn't say I underestimated the Kings because I did make a video a couple weeks ago, you go check it out, talking about the Kings, and I described the potential to make a Western Conference Finals run. However, in my video that I released predicting the first round, I had them losing to the Warriors in about 6 games. And through games 1 and 2, I'm sad to say that prediction looks worse and worse, and what really is scaring me about that prediction and about me being wrong, I have no problem being wrong, but the Golden State Warriors do scare me a lot. I mean, they can't win the game on the road, and that Sacramento offense just looks to be too powerful for them. And it looks like they're going to go down 3-1 in this next game as Draymond Green has just been suspended. When Draymond was ejected last game, they couldn't get a single stop. They couldn't stop that Kings offense at all. The amount of Sabonis play improved just a tad, as we saw, and De'Aaron Fox was De'Aaron Fox. Now, I know the Warriors are a better team at home, and it is potential that they could win considering they have Steph Curry on their team and they're going to be playing at home, but it just looks kind of weary right now, and I'm not so confident in my Warriors and 6th pick anymore. Now, with that being said, the Warriors could just be a little rusty. I mean, we are talking about a dynasty here, a dynasty that's been going on since 2014. We all know how Steph Curry plays, and we know he can elevate at home, and we all know how the Warriors elevate when they're at home as well. But even if they do pull out these next 2 games, are we so sure that they can win 1 or even 2 home games at the Kings in the Golden One Arena? I don't know, man. And on top of that, the Warriors defense just isn't good. It's not, the Kings do have a great offense, yes, but the Warriors defense is not like how it was last year. They're not some top 10 defense, top 10 offense team that was last year. Yes, they have a great offense that's one of the best in the league, but the defense is atrocious. And with a big of a blow as Draymond being ejected or suspended for next game, that's just gonna hurt their defense even more. And with that, I'm not so sure the Warriors pull out this series. My third takeaway is this Lakers team is dangerous. Now, I know this is another pick that is looking like I might have got wrong. However, I'm going to stick by it. But this Lakers team looks a little bit dangerous, more dangerous than I anticipated. You see, at first I was kind of worried about the rotations Darvin Ham would have, the play of AD, and how much LeBron would be able to sustain his great play considering his age. But in that first game against the Grizzlies, they were in control for majority of the game, even when AD was out. And although AD's injury does concern me a little bit, I think he still rebounds from that, and I think he will fight through any more injuries he has, or he won't sustain another injury too serious that will prevent him from playing. On top of that, we saw LeBron that really didn't have to go out of his way and play God mode like he did in the past. He was kind of just playing at his own pace and control, and some of the role players around him stepped up. And let's salute to Darvin Ham. It looked like in that series, he looked better than I was giving him credit for. He kind of made some nice rotations. They didn't really run plays, and the offense was a little bit stagnant, but they had more motion than they did all season and in the play-in. And with Ja Morant being out of game 2, that is tonight, and I don't know whether or not they've won that at the time of this recording, it looks like the Lakers could go up 2-0 with the chance of going home. And if the Lakers are up 2-0 going home, then that Grizzly pick is going to look real bad or real quick. Now, I'm aware Jaren Jackson Jr. is still amazing, and in that first game, Ja Morant didn't even have that good of a game, and that the Grizzlies actually still do manage to play pretty well even without Ja, but Ja's presence is a lot of help out there, whether he's injured or he's healthy. Jaren Jackson, as great as he has been playing, I don't know if he's going to be able to keep up with the Lakers, which was a fear I had at first, and Dillon Brooks will sell them the game. He dang near did it in game 1, and I'm for certain that will be a pattern that just continues all throughout the Grizzlies postseason run. Another takeaway I have is the play of Russell Westbrook is something that I did underestimate. In the first game, Russ, he shot horribly, as we know, 3 for 19, but he made up for it in all other aspects of the game, which is why he's still a pretty marquee player and he still has a job in today's league. However, I didn't really anticipate him playing as well as he did and Ty Lue trusting him to be in the game that late. Now, of course, this is something that could have just been for this series if the Clippers do win. It doesn't really happen much more down the line. But I will say I did underestimate the play of Russell Westbrook, and he's looked pretty decent. But I don't think I'm at fault for this. If you watch the Lakers play when Russell Westbrook was on that team, he never played that hard. Yes, we know Russ has a high motor, but he wasn't going for every rebound and trying to do all of that he's doing with the Clippers with the Lakers. With that being said, I still have the Suns winning the series, and they did just win game 2. And it's going to be very interesting to see what adjustments they make, as they have been giving KD a little too much attention, which has allowed Devin Booker to get the easiest shots of his entire lifetime so far in this series. I know this is going to be a back and forth series, and I still have the Suns winning because Kawhi has looked great, and I think I underestimated him a little bit as well, but it does seem like he's starting to break down a little bit. I mean, the Clippers are asking him to go get 30 and guard KD or Booker whenever they're going off. And for a man who just came off an ACL injury, that's a lot to ask of him. But unfortunately for the Clippers, they don't really have too many other people on the court without Paul George to kind of lighten that load on them. With that being said, my next takeaway is playoff Kawhi is very much a real thing and is still in full effect. At this point, he's had back-to-back big games, and he has been able to limit Kevin Durant. Not so much Devin Booker, but he's done a pretty decent job on Kevin Durant. And the offense he's given them has been huge. Multiple 30-point games, on top of big performances and crucial plays and clutch time. Playoff Kawhi is back in full effect, and I think he's reminded us of who he was before he was injured, and he was out for such a long time. The next thing is, if Chris Paul continues playing this well, like for last night, he had like 8 points in the fourth quarter, the Suns are very much the favorite to come out of the West. Now, it wasn't like dominant the entire game, but in that fourth quarter, it was a little vintage Chris Paul moment, and he came up big for the Suns in a lot of clutch moments. And if we can get that version of Chris Paul, a vintage Chris Paul, when Kevin Durant isn't playing so well or Devin Booker's having an off game, the Suns are very much the favorite to come out the West, and I don't really see too many teams who are going to stop them. And speaking of threats in the conference, the Cavaliers looked amazing yesterday, and in particular, Darius Garland looked amazing yesterday. And if Darius Garland can play that well and you get a little bit of a better game from Donovan Mitchell, the Cavs are a big threat to Milwaukee in the next round. And when they face Milwaukee, I think that series could drag on longer than we anticipate. Last night against the Knicks, it looked like all of those playoff jitters are out the way for the Cavs, and it showed as Evan Mobley looked a little bit better and Darius Garland looked a little bit better, as he had a big game in only his second, or I'd say third, playoff game in his career. And I guess my final takeaway, which really isn't much of a takeaway, is we kind of have to look at Tibbs and question his coaching style a little bit. Now, I know it's been questioned for years with the whole Derrick Rose incident, but he kind of did it again yesterday. The Knicks had no chance to win that game, yet he still had his starters in there playing big minutes, specifically Julius Randle, who was coming fresh off an injury. I understand when your starters in there and fight to the end, but is it really worth it if you're getting blown out and it's only the second game in the playoff series and you've already gotten home court. Come on. But that's really it as of now. That's all I have, and those are all the takeaways I have a little under halfway through the first round series. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, some takeaways you guys have, and I'll be back and I'll see y'all soon. But if you like what you heard, you want to hear some more, make sure you like the video and subscribe. But until next time, peace.